Hello, this is Michael with Field Tech Academy. In today's video, we're going to be talking about everybody's favorite thing, getting paid. I'm going to show you the process that I go through to close out my Field Nation tickets, make sure that all of my expenses and supplies and time is accounted for so that I maximize what I'm being paid. All right, for example, this is a ticket from Spencer Technologies. You can see over here the rate is $55 an hour. We logged 2.63 hours of the 3-hour pre-approved amount. Now I'm going to go through the ticket to make sure I have everything that I need to submit it for payment. First section that you want to look at is the tasks section. You want to make sure that everything is checkmarked, that we set a start time, that we checked in, that we checked out, that we've entered closeout notes. You need to be really good with your closeout notes to be very detailed to the buyer so they know exactly what you did to account for the time that you spent on the ticket. If you used any supplies or materials, you want to be very clear in the notes what you used so that when you go to request reimbursement for those items, it'll be documented in your notes as well. The other thing that you need to watch for is you fill out all these little custom fields. The buyer has some custom fields that talk about the site name, different things like that, but they also have a section for a provider custom field. And so this particular buyer wants an answer to this particular question. What is the Spencer release code? So you're going to have to answer that question before you can actually close this for payment. If I attempted to close this without that closure code, it's going to pop up a message and say, hey, this must be done. So you've got to do it. One of the biggest things when you're doing the tickets to make your life easier is to make sure you're doing all of these steps while you're on the ticket so that you don't come to this point and go, oh my God, I forgot to get the closeout number. Make your life easier while you're doing the ticket by reading really thoroughly through all of these different details so that you don't miss them, because you can't close it until you get it. I'm going to enter that closeout code. The other thing to do is to look at your time entries. These are automatically generated when you check in and check out through the app or through the website. If you got on site and you started working, maybe you called the client and checked in by phone, but you forgot to check in on the app, then when you hit the check-in button, it's going to timestamp it at that moment. If you had been there for 15 or 20 minutes, then you need to be able to edit that time. And so Field Nation allows you to do that. I know that we actually checked in at 7:45 and we actually checked out at 10:35. So we're going to edit that to match what we actually worked. We're going to go to edit. I was there till 10:35. Honestly, I like the round number aspect of it, so I'm just going to leave it at 7:45 and 10:30. The next step is to make sure that you have all of your deliverables in place so that the buyer will approve the ticket. What's a deliverable? It is an all-encompassing term. Basically, it means whatever the client requires to close it. So that could be a photo, a set of photos. It could be documents, notes, those provider custom fields, things like that. If the only field for uploads is labeled as miscellaneous, then they have not defined specific items that need to be uploaded to be approved. At least they didn't define it here. If we scroll up on the ticket, you can see a little more detail. They want photos of the newly installed pen pad and serial numbers of the pen pad. Have manager sign sign-off sheet. Different parts of the ticket might define what those deliverables are. You really have to read these with a fine-tooth comb. I've done this for 20 plus years, and sometimes the way these are worded is tricky that I even overlook things. So you just have to really focus on everything they say. So in this case, I've uploaded 14 different deliverables. So I know as far as the requirements, I've satisfied those. The next thing you always want to look for is, did I use any supplies? Did I incur any expenses like parking or tolls, things like that? If you did incur expenses, then you want to request reimbursement for those. To request reimbursement, you're going to go above the pay column over here on the right-hand side. You're going to hit this little menu and you're going to go add expense. The drop down is going to depend on what your expense is. So if it was materials that you used on this site, like Velcro, cable, you're going to say real material costs attached to the building. If it's a travel expense like parking or tolls, things like that, then you want to scroll down and select travel expense. So in this case, the only expense we had on this ticket was tolls. So I'm just going to say $2, tolls, save changes. Before you close the ticket, you want to make sure that the hours that you worked did not exceed the pre-approved hours on the ticket. So you'll see right here, 3 hours max. If I had worked 4 or 5 hours on this site, then I would need to ask for additional labor. Since I only logged 2.75 hours of the 3 hours, I know that I'm good. But so that you can see it, I'm going to select this and I'm going to go request pay change. So If you had worked additional hours, then you would simply add in the hours here and you would explain why the call took longer than they pre-approved. Sometimes there's delays. You may sit on hold to get to tech support, or once you get to tech support, there might be a problem with the equipment. Maybe it wasn't pre-configured correctly. So there are some logical reasons why a call may go over. Again, making your life easy on the front end, you need to be communicating with your buyer during the process so that they know what is going on, why it took longer. Since I have got everything in, I've got my expenses in, my labor's right, I'm ready to close the ticket. I scroll up near the top of the ticket and you have an option to mark it complete. So if everything is satisfied as far as the platform is concerned, it will allow you to close it. Mark complete. Once it's marked complete, blah, blah, blah. Now they're going to ask you for some private feedback and for some public feedback. If you want to get reviews from your buyers to strengthen your profile, you need to take the time to fill this out. I'm going to say that I was satisfied. Now that's the private feedback. And then it pops up another thing that asks you for public feedback. 5 stars is the best. Were the expectations clear? Were they professional? Save rating. I think it's very important you take the time to review your buyer. That's going to give you a higher probability of your buyer reviewing you. And the reviews are critical. When a buyer is looking to assign a ticket, they're going to be looking, have you completed tickets? And the tickets you've completed, what kind of ratings did you get? So you want to make sure you're doing these things. Now you can see that the button has changed to mark incomplete. If I realized, oh man, I forgot to add something else in, then you could go up here and you can mark it incomplete. It would pull it back out where you can make edits to it. But once you've submitted this, in theory, at any moment now, the buyer could approve the ticket and release it for payment. Brings up a great payment question. Once the buyer approves it, how long before I get my money? Well, you'll notice here in the pay column, it tells you 14-day terms. So once that ticket is approved by the buyer, by the client, then it's going to take 14 days for that money to be released. FieldNation has a payment queue system, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. But basically, whatever the terms are, you're going to have different line items that'll show you when you're getting paid for what tickets. So I'm done with that ticket. I'm going to move on to the next one. Again, the first thing I want to look for is, are my times right? Do I have my expenses in? Is my labor right? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the tasks to make sure I have completed all of the tasks. All right, so all of my tasks are complete. Now I want to look at the deliverables to make sure that I've uploaded everything that I'm going to need to have uploaded to be paid. Just like the previous ticket, there are provider custom fields. So these all had to be answered for me to get paid. Those have all been filled out. The deliverables on this one are more defined than they were on the other ticket. The other ticket just had the miscellaneous section with no details. This ticket gives me some specific items that it wants me to upload. Those are part of the tasks that we saw up above. So this ticket needed to have photos of the work site before beginning work, parts that were actually replaced and worked on, and work site after work is finished. I like these better because you know that you're uploading the right things. It's also nice when the buyer doesn't have a custom work order and you can just use the FieldNation digital signature. It makes life easier because you can just have them sign here and you don't actually have to download a PDF and edit it or print out a piece of paper and have them physically sign it and then scan it and upload it. This is much simpler. The next thing I want to do is look at my time entry. I want to make sure that that is correct, that I did log in when I meant to log in, when I actually got to the site, and then I logged out at the time that I meant to log out. So I logged basically a little less than an hour on this site. Most FieldNation buyers are going to pay you an hour by default. Now I should be able to put in my expenses. Again, I'm watching to make sure that my hours don't exceed the pre-approved amount. This was pre-approved for 2 hours, but it only took a little less than an hour. So I'm going to select this and just add my expense of tolls. So that again, that is travel. $2 is tolls. Save. Now I just need to mark it complete. Are you sure? Mark complete. Do our rating. Now we'll see that it has mark incomplete as the option. That tells me that it is submitted for payment. This buyer, Staley, is the same way. They are a 14-day payment term. Some of the buyers will have 30 days. Some of them will have 0 days. Just depends on the buyer. Now we'll move on to the next one. All right, our next one is SpectraTel. We're going to check all of our tasks and deliverables. All right, all of our tasks are complete. Now I'm going to look at my deliverables and make sure I fulfill all those and make sure there aren't any custom fields that I need to fill out. So in this case, there are no custom fields for the provider side, and we as the techs are the providers, so there's nothing there to worry about. On the deliverable side, this buyer also had specific requirements, so that was nice. They told us exactly what they wanted, so we were able to go and take those photos and make sure those photos were uploaded. Again, there wasn't a custom work order by the buyer, so we were just able to use the regular digital signature from Field Nation. Now I want to look at my time entry. I noticed that my time entry was a little off. I had forgot to check out right when I left the site, so I went in and edited the time to reduce it to the amount of time that was actually on site. Now I'm going to check to see if my 2 hours was within the pre-approved range to see if I need to ask for additional time. I can see that it was pre-approved for 2 hours. I worked 2 hours, so I don't have to worry about asking for additional money on this one. This one is ready to close. I'm going to mark it complete. Mark complete. Do my rating. Save it, and now I'm complete. This buyer is a 0-day terms. So once they approve it, it will immediately be available in my Field Nation payment withdrawals. That doesn't mean I get it immediately. Field Nation only does pay runs once a week on Fridays. So 0 days is really a few days, but nonetheless, it's going to be fast. One little tip for you, you're being paid to do the job, and part of the job includes doing these tasks. So while you're on site, while you are on the clock, you need to be doing these deliverables. You should not do the job and then go home at night and spend 2 hours closing all of your tickets, because that is time for which you should be paid. Since the client requires it, you need to stay on the clock and stay on the job until these items are done. If you wait till the end of the day, you're giving away time for free. Earlier, I was talking to you about the payment screen and how these queued payments look. For example, this is a 14-day payment term. If you select on your dollar signs up here, by the way, this will always show 0 unless you are a buyer. This 0 represents the money that you have on the platform available to pay technicians. As providers, this is always going to show 0. So to see my payments, I'll go to this, select it. This loads your payment screen. At the time of this recording, it's Saturday. So Friday was yesterday. Friday was the day that Field Nation released payments. So you can see that the day before, we got over $1,000. Then you can look ahead to see that there are transfers scheduled for October the 6th, which is a week from now, and then October 13th, which is 2 weeks from now. Based on whatever tickets we closed and those buyers' requirements and their payment terms, your payments will accumulate as buyers are approving those tickets that we just closed. As each one gets approved, then this amount will increase until that date arrives, and then that money will automatically be transferred to your bank. That's the process that I go through to request additional time, request reimbursement for expenses, and actually review the tickets to make sure that they're right, so that when I submit them for payment, I'm being paid for my time and getting them to the buyer so that they will actually approve them. If this was helpful to you, please like the video and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to check out my website at fieldtechacademy.com. I have some downloads available that can help you with your Field Nation and other companies' profiles, and I have one-on-one coaching available if you would like to speak with me directly and get some insight on how to improve your income and improve your standing with these platforms. I also have a client list available for purchase on my website. If you are a quality tech and you have a lot of experience and you're making a living at this, or close to making a living, or you're ready to make that jump, then this client list can really help add new income to your portfolio so that you can really be successful as an independent field tech. As always, let's get you out in the field making money. I'll see you in the next video.